Differences between typical antipsychotics and atypical antipsychotics. If you see the differences, this atypical antipsychotics it will have the less side effects and more efficacy. Atypical antipsychotics are executed faster. Atypical antipsychotics are less likely to cause extrapyramidal motor control and tardive dyskinesia. Atypical antipsychotics are easier to discontinue and less addictive. Atypical antipsychotic drugs are recommended over typical psychotic drugs. Atypical antipsychotics fail to produce prolactin in the serum. Withdrawal symptoms are less likely with atypical antipsychotic drugs. Akathisia to be less intense with these drugs than the typical antipsychotics. Then antipsychotics, it will mainly work acting on the mesolimbic, mesocortical and nigrostriatal pathways. And coming to the pharmacokinetics, the orally administered antipsychotics are observed erratically and variably from gastrointestinal tract with uneven blood levels. Intramuscular and intravenous administration provides much more reliable blood levels. The antipsychotics are highly lipophilic and highly protein bound. They easily enter areas with good blood supply such as brain, lung, kidney and fetus and accumulate there. Steady state plasma levels are usually reached in 5 to 10 days. Once the drug is withdrawn, it may remain in body for many days to many months. Most of the antipsychotics tend to have a therapeutic window. If the blood level is below this window, the drug is ineffective. If the blood level is higher than the upper limit of the window, there is toxicity or the drug is again ineffective. Coming to the mechanism of action of antipsychotics, the exact mechanism of action of antipsychotics is unknown. One of the major mechanism of antipsychotics includes antidopaminergic activity of these drugs. Antipsychotics drugs block the D2 receptors, which are mainly present in mesolimbic mesocortical system and nigrostriatal system and tuberoinfundibular systems in the brain. Antipsychotic drugs are effective in treating psychosis due to their reaction on the D2 receptors located in the mesolimbic system, while extrapyramidal side effects are caused by the blockade of D2 receptors situated in nigrostriatal system and hyperprolactinemia is caused by D2 blockade in tuberoinfundibular system. Then coming to the second generation antipsychotics, research for a antipsychotic drug which acts only on mesolimbic system but has no effect on nigrostriatal or tuberoinfundibular system. These typical antipsychotics, it will be causing the action in the so many areas, it will be causing the so many side effects. Because of this newer antipsychotics, it will work only on the mesolimbic system so that it will be reducing the side effects. A heterogeneous group of drugs collectively known as atypical antipsychotics are newer antipsychotics. These are also known as second generation antipsychotics or serotonin dopamine antagonists. These drugs should be theoretically safer with lesser incidence of serious side effects such as tardive dyskinesia and neuroleptic malignant syndrome. Clozapine is one such drug, but it can cause agranulocytosis and sepsis. Atypical antipsychotics, in addition to their effect on positive symptoms, are believed to be effective in treatment of negative symptoms. Clozapine is particularly effective in management of treatment-resistant schizophrenia. However, there is no need for close hematological monitoring for neutropenia or agranulocytosis. Then coming to the side effects of the antipsychotics. Autonomic side effects. Those are dry mouth, constipation, cycloplegia, mithriasis, urinary retention, delirium, orthostatic hypotension, impotence, impaired ejaculation. Then extrapyramidal symptoms, Parkinsonian syndrome, akathisia, acute dystonia, rabbit mouth syndrome, tardive dyskinesia, neuroleptic malignant syndrome. Then coming to the nursing management of the side effects. The first one is the nursing management of adverse reactions related to the anticholinergic effects. In this condition, provide the client with sugarless candy, gum, ice, and frequent sips of water. For cholinergic effects, it leads to excessive salivation. For all this, you have to provide the frequent sips of water. Ensure that client practices strict oral hygiene. Explain that this symptom will most likely subside after a few weeks. Advise client not to drive car until vision clears. Clear small items from pathway to prevent falls. Order food high in fiber. Encourage increasing physical activity and fluid intake if not contraindicated. Instruct the client to report any difficulty urinating. Monitor intake and output. Nursing management of nausea and GI upset. Tablets or capsules may be administered with food to minimize GI upset. Concentrates may be diluted and administered with fruit juice or other liquid. They should be mixed immediately before administering. Then skin rash. If it is there, report appearance of the any rash on skin to physician. Avoid spilling any of the liquid concentrate on skin. Contact dermatitis can occur with some medications. Then for sedation, discuss with the physician the possibility of administering the drug at bedtime. Discuss with the physician a possible decrease in doses or an order for a less sedating drug. Instruct client not to drive or operate dangerous equipment while experiencing sedation. Then for orthostatic hypotension, instruct the client to rise slowly from a lying or sitting position, monitor blood pressure, age shift, document and report significant changes. For photosensitivity, ensure that the client wears a protective sunblock lotion, clothing and sunglasses while spending time outdoors. For hormonal effects, provide an explanation of the effects and reassurance of the reversibility. If necessary, discuss with the physician the possibility of ordering alternate medication. Offer reassurance of reversibility. Instruct the client to continue use of the contraception because amenorrhea does not indicate cessation of ovulation. Weigh client every other day. Order a calorie control diet. Provide an opportunity for physical exercise. Provide diet and exercise instructions. For ECG changes, caution is advised in prescribing this medication to individuals with history of arrhythmias, conditions that produce hypokalemia and hypomagnesemia, such as diuretic therapy or diarrhea, should be taken into consideration when prescribed. Routine ECG should be taken before initiation of therapy and periodically during therapy. Monitor vital signs every shift. Observe for symptoms of dizziness, palpitations, syncope, or weakness. Reduction of seizure threshold. Closely observe clients with history of the seizures. Then for agranulocytosis, there is a significant risk of agranulocytosis with clozapine. Baseline red blood cell count and absolute neutrophil count must be taken before initiation of the treatment with clozapine and weekly for the first 6 months of treatment. Only a 1 week supply of medication is dispensed at a time. If the counts remain within the acceptable levels, WBC at least 3500 per cubic millimeter and the ANC at least 2000 cubic millimeters during the 6 months period. Blood counts may be monitored bi-weekly and a 2 weeks supply of medication may then be dispensed. If the counts remain within the acceptable level for the bi-weekly period, counts may then be monitored every 4 weeks thereafter. When the medication is discontinued, weekly WBC counts are continued for an additional 4 weeks. For hypersalivation with clozapine, a significant number of the clients receiving clozapine therapy experience extreme salivation. Offer support to the client because this may be an embarrassing situation. It may even be a safety issue. Risk of aspiration, the problem is very severe. For extrapyramidal symptoms, pseudoparkinsonism, may appear 1 to 5 days following initiation of antipsychotic medication, occur most often in women, the elderly, and dehydrated clients. Akathisia occur most frequently in women. Symptoms may occur 50 to 60 days following initiation of therapy. Dystonia of face, arms, legs, and neck and oculogaric crisis occur most often in men and in people younger than 25 years of age. Pseudoparkinsonism and akathisia can be treated with anticholinergics, antihistamine, and dopaminergic agents. Dystonia and oculogaric crisis should be treated as a emergency situation. The physician should be conducted an intravenous or intramuscular bendropene mesylate is commonly administered. Stay with the client and offer reassurance and support during this frightening time. Tardive dyskinesia. All clients receiving long-term antipsychotic therapy are at risk. The symptoms are potentially irreversible. The drug should be withdrawn at the first sign, which is usually vermiform movements of the tongue. Prompt action may prevent a irreversibility. For neuroleptic malignant syndrome, this is a rare but potentially fatal complication of treatment with neuroleptic drugs. Routine assessment should include temperature and observation for Parkinsonian symptoms. Onset can occur within hours or even years after during initiation, and progression is rapid over the following 24 to 72 hours. Discontinue neuroleptic medication immediately. Monitor vital signs, degree of muscle rigidity, intake and output levels of consciousness. The physician may order bromocriptine or dantrolene to counteract the effect of neuroleptic malignant syndrome. Thank you.